Today, I want to talk about what work not to volunteer for. Remember how in the old days we used to, before COVID, we used to get together in the conference room and have one of those pre-sales calls with a client. We probably have like a salesperson in there, maybe a project manager and a tech guy. I would usually be the tech guy in the call, and we would talk to a client and figure out the scope of the project, talk about what they need done, and everyone would put in their suggestions and everybody would volunteer their opinions as to what is best for a project. We would discuss certain specifics, how things will be done, and so on. And on occasion, salesperson would say something like, oh, hey, and how about we'll also do this? To which tech person and project manager would immediately go, don't say that, don't try to mute the phone, like don't bring that up on this call. To which, of course, a salesperson would be like, why? What did I say? It's fine. But today we're going to talk about 3 things that salesperson shouldn't have said on the phone, or 3 things or 3 types of jobs not to volunteer for when talking to a client. And where I want to start is custom deduplication. So there is the service that many companies offer. They call it different things: metadata matching, custom deduplication, whichever. And what you do is, when your normal deduplication isn't good enough, it's not catching all the duplicates, what you do is you take metadata and you generate a custom hash, and then you compare those hashes together to identify even more potential duplicates in the set. And so that's one thing may happen is salesperson would go in, oh, hey, sure, we'll do custom deduplication based on the fields you choose. And you go, no, don't do that, don't say that. Why not? Why shouldn't you offer custom deduplication as normal part of a service offering? Well, there are a few reasons for that. One, it's custom manual work, and you don't want to do it unless you absolutely have to. It's no fun, no one enjoys doing it, and since it's a manual work, it is error prone. Also, once you do custom deduplication once, every subsequent set of data you're going to be loading, you have to follow the same process, which again could be manual process, which you basically locking yourself into doing custom deduplication forever and ever on that case. Also, it's a dangerous process. If you make a mistake in your field selection or any mistake during manual process, you could potentially exclude documents that should have been looked at and that are not duplicates. So you're exposing yourself to a danger of preventing clients from seeing documents they should have been seeing. Well, then why do we have that service to begin with if you don't want to offer it to a client, you may ask? Well, custom deduplication should be reserved for special occasions. An example of that would be, let's say you had data in EML and in PST, and all the data got processed, loaded, and now reviews happening, and somebody goes, hey, I'm seeing a lot of duplicates. And then you go in and you poke about and you identify, and yes, that's the situation. We have 2 different containers, maybe they had some encoding variation or something like that, and then you just pick just those 2 sets, you perform custom deduplication, and you give client only results from that. But for the future work, you continue with your normal deduplication process. The next thing that comes up on the call is selective processing. And client may say, well, we have this hard drive with lots of data, but we only want to process some of it. And so what the tech person would say, well, sure, why don't you just tell us the top level folder you want to process, and we'll go ahead and do that. And what salesperson may do, and they go, oh, that's okay. What we'll do is we'll make a directory list of all the files. We'll send it to you in Excel format, and then you can go through and highlight it with different colors of what to process. And again, everyone going like, no, don't say that. What is wrong with you? There's a problem with that is if you don't have standardized approach to this workflow, you're going to have a lot of problems. Usually people put this in Excel. Some people start selecting only folders in Excel. Some select files. Sometimes they add columns, some use highlighting. There are all kinds of ways people indicate what they want. And then once a vendor receives that file back, you need to make sense of it, and you need to extract all the, first you need to understand what did client even select in there, because sometimes they'll select top level folder, but then only some subfolders. It just creates a mess. But once you figure that out, you need to make a batch file to copy stuff out. And the problem you're going to have there is paths are too long, there's special characters, and the batch file is not able to understand what the command lines are. So you're gonna have tons of problems just preparing that data for processing. Because of that, it's best to avoid selective processing altogether. It's often cheaper just to process all data and filter out in processing software than spend all the tech time into making dir lists, going through it and making batch files and figuring all that out. And finally, item number 3 deals with folders as well. And this is where client says, hey, can you just make these into PDFs or something like that? And salesperson, sure. Do you want us to mirror the structure on export? And we can name those PDFs per original file names. It's gonna be so easy for you to find those documents you're looking for. You just follow the same structure and bam, there they are. But no, it's a terrible idea because it comes back to the same problem we were discussing, is working with paths. Again, you can have paths that are too long. You can have paths with weird characters. Sometimes the software that's doing export will try to mirror the folder structure, but because of special characters or the lengths, it will fail to export. The other thing you could have is if you're matching file names to the original names, you could have 2 files with the same name. One would be, let's say, .doc and the other one .txt. And when you're trying to export it out, your PDF file names are going to be the same, so they will get overwritten. And you may not even get an error message from your processing software or whatever software you use for exporting. So you'll just have a file count that's less than the original, and you're going to be trying to figure out what happened. And again, you're going to spend so much time trying to just find the problem, solve it, mirror the folder structure, and in my opinion, it's just not worth it. What I suggest doing in that case is assigning a control number and exporting all the PDFs into one folder or multiple folders and creating the cross-reference file. A cross-reference file could be either that file for loading to concordance or whatever, or it could be a CSV so a person could use Excel. This way you'll give them all the additional processing metadata along with a native link to that PDF. This way it's going to be less work for you, and it's going to be hopefully easier for a client to use the data, and it'll give them ability to produce it with metadata should production specifications require them to. All right, that's the top 3 items for me. Let me know if you guys can think of any more projects or tasks that you should not volunteer for when talking to a client, and put them in the comment section below. All right, don't forget to follow on LinkedIn, subscribe on YouTube. I'll see you next time.